At the company banquet, the junior secretary got her period, and my husband kindly took the drink for her. I only felt nauseated. Right there in front of everyone, I called my lawyer and asked her to draft a divorce agreement, then turned and walked out. Julian's face darkened. He chased after me immediately. "What are you making a scene about now? I just took one drink for her. Is that really so terrible?" I ignored him, opened my phone, and posted a declaration of freedom on Instagram. Sorry, my marriage is mine to control. It was a company party celebrating Julian's landing of a huge project. I knew how much face meant to him, so I'd made sure to invite plenty of CEOs. Julian is allergic to alcohol. At our wedding, he hadn't touched a single sip of wedding champagne, so I had knocked back every toast on his behalf. But I drunk far too much, and I was hunting for an antacid when I saw Julian stand up and intercept the glass meant for his assistant. "Blair's on her period today. This one's on me." Then, under the gaze of the whole room, Julian tossed back the entire cup of grain liquor in one go. The sight sent my stomach heaving. I spun around and left. Julian followed at once, grabbing my arm. "This is my promotion dinner. Could you not embarrass me?" Every employee turned to stare at me, then shifted their eyes to Blair. It was as if they'd long known the two were sleeping together. Whispers broke out everywhere. I heard Mr. Sterling never drinks, yet he actually broke his rule for Blair. Look, his face is already flushing after one shot. Classic allergy reaction, and he still downed it for her. Yeah, Mrs. Sterling always insists on shielding him, and we thought she was being thoughtful. Turns out it was all. Their chatter sank my heart to the floor. I tried to wrench free, but Julian's grip was iron. "Serena, Blair's on her period. She can't drink. One glass for her. What's the big deal? Besides, half this deal is her work. Letting you stand here at all is me saving your pride." Hilarious. I'd run around pulling every string to elevate him from VP to Mr. Sterling, and now it was magically her achievement. I smirked inside and flicked my gaze to Blair. Her eyes were already red. She lowered her head timidly, tears dripping onto the table. "Mr. Sterling, don't be angry. It's my fault I got my period and made you take that drink." Swallowing my rage, I spoke coldly. "Blair, is flirting with my husband in front of all these people really appropriate?" She gave the crowd an innocent stare, stood and answered. "Mrs. Sterling, Mr. Sterling and I are just boss and assistant. I can't drink. He only stepped in so the mood wouldn't die. If seeing us together bothers you, I'll resign right now." With that, she grabbed her jacket and turned to leave. Julian shoved me aside and hurried after her. "Blair, we're completely above board. If you leave now, people will gossip." He pulled her into his arms and murmured comforts. Blair let two perfect tears slide down. "Mr. Sterling, I shouldn't have let you drink for me." "Don't blame Mrs. Sterling." Watching her, Julian's heart ached. He settled her back in her chair, then strode toward me, face like ice. "Apologize." My expression cracked. Pain knifed through me. I bit out each word. "Not one chance." Before I could react, he slapped me hard across the left cheek. The force hurled me to the carpet. The metallic taste of blood coated my lip. I stared up at Julian in disbelief. He didn't even look back, only returned to soothe Blair. At the sight, a bitter smile twisted my mouth. Ignoring the sting, I pushed myself up, phoned my lawyer, and asked her to prepare the divorce papers. I walked unsteadily over to Julian and said quietly, "Julian, we're done." He answered coldly, "Serena, I'd behave if I were you. Don't forget who lifted you to where you are." Back then, I'd knocked on every door for his project. Never imagined it would end like this. I left the building. A misting rain drifted down. Through the hazy glass, I saw the brightly lit hall. Julian's arm around Blair's shoulders, champagne raised as if to toast my eviction. Numb, I headed home, still half believing it was a nightmare. Julian beat me there. When I opened the door, the reek of perfume hit me first, his hair disheveled, a smear of lipstick on his tie. He leaned against the jamb, allergy rash blotching his skin. The moment he saw me, he pulled me close. "Serena, I was wrong tonight. Blair's done so much for me. I only wanted to do something for her. Don't blame her." She talks tough, but she's soft inside. There's no need to escalate this. I sneered inwardly, shoved away the nausea, and pushed him off.
Fine.
If you love doing favors for people, do one for me tomorrow. He agreed, without hesitation. Next morning, I waited on the sofa. The divorce agreement lay opposite him. When he woke and saw it, his face chilled. Serena, what's this? I calmed you down last night. Now you're acting up again? Calmly, I replied, you said you'd do me one favor today. Sign the papers and set the two of you free. He snapped. I keep telling you. She's only my secretary. Nothing happened. Still cold, I answered, sighing. Julian snatched the agreement and tore it in half, furious. Divorce? Don't even think about it. Without a word, I pulled out a second copy and placed it in front of him. If you still need more dirt, I've got plenty. Also, if you won't sign it, I'll file suit and accuse you of cheating while we were married. He actually laughed, then looked at me with dripping scorn. You have proof? Don't forget, when the Vance family was flat broke, I'm the one who dragged you back from the cliff. Without my help, you might not even be alive today. Serena, threats don't work on me. Behave yourself. His phone rang. He answered, glanced at me with a guilty twitch, and murmured something unmistakably flirtatious to whoever was on the line. I knew it was Blair. He slammed the door and drove straight to the headquarters. My own phone rang. When I saw the caller ID, my mouth crooked into a smile. Ms. Vance, everything you asked for is ready. I grunted and ended the call. I'd planned to walk out immediately, but then I remembered the competitor analyses I'd compiled, files that could wipe out half our rivals at a stroke. When I reached my office, I saw the CAD blueprints and proprietary deck I'd revised through countless all-nighters, all so Julian could claim the top seat. In the end, they were nothing but a punchline everyone used to mock me. Since I wouldn't be staying, keeping them was pointless. I scooped up every document and set the whole pile ablaze. Half of it was already ash when Julian burst in. Serena, have you lost your mind? I need that for the product keynote. You just torched my presentation. I gave a cold laugh. That's right, I've lost it. Why not? I burned the midnight oil to build those. They're mine, and I'll burn them if I want. While he fought the flames, he yanked out whatever hadn't caught yet. You think you built this alone? Everything at the headquarters belongs to everyone. It's a shared victory. So, what if you organized it? Blair explained every slide to the whole team. You only made it. She made it matter. The words left me bitterly amused. Apparently, the person who merely builds something is worthless. The mouth that presents it walks away the hero. She already explained it, didn't she? Let her keep explaining. For you, forever. Julian's face froze for a second, but his hands never stopped moving. Serena, if your tantrum keeps us from finishing the year-end keynote, I won't forgive you. Your seat here is disposable. Someone else will warm it. With that, Blair rushed in, grabbed my hand, and dissolved in tears. Ms. Vance, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have stolen your work. If you leave, the headquarters will collapse. Julian instantly folded her into his arms and dabbed at her cheeks. It's just paperwork, he soothed. I'll have a new deck copied overnight. Blair sobbed louder and begged me to stay. Julian couldn't bear it. Emery, you can see she's on her knees. Do we literally have to get on our knees before you quit this drama? Looking at the two of them, you'd think they were the married couple. Fine. On your knees, both of you, and I'll consider staying. Blair actually started to kneel, but Julian yanked her back up. Emery, don't push this. It won't end well for any of us. Suddenly, Blair turned to Julian. Mr. Sterling, I left something in your office. Could you get it for me? The instant he was gone, her tear-soaked face twisted into something venomous. She seized my wrist and hissed in my ear. Your husband tastes delicious, by the way. And the car he gave me? One of a kind in Eastbrook. Don't worry, Ms. Vance. If you behave, maybe he'll toss you the keys to an e-scooter as a reward. I tried to wrench free. She let out a shriek and toppled backward. The scream brought the whole floor running. Julian sprinted back, saw Blair on the carpet, and slapped me without asking a single question. Serena, you bitch, attacking her the moment my back is turned. He crouched beside Blair, checking for injuries. Blair, are you okay? She played the waif perfectly. "Mr. Sterling, I've tried so hard. Maybe Mrs. Sterling just can't stand me." He stroked her hair. "We all adore you, don't we, team?" Choruses of approval followed. "Thanks to you, we closed that contract in one shot, Blair. Unlike some people who'd love to tear the company apart." Emboldened, Blair shot me a smirk that said the headquarters already belonged to her. Then Julian ushered her to the hospital, never once looking back. I limped to my feet and out the gate. At home, I packed, laid the signed divorce papers on the coffee table, and dialed without hesitation. "Dad, I'm in. I'll fly to Australia tomorrow. But before I leave, they still deserve one last surprise." When Julian brought Blair back and found my desk empty, she murmured, "Mr. Sterling, if Ms. Vance is gone, what happens to our keynote?" Julian thought for a moment, then called me. I'd already blocked his number. After endless failed calls, he left a voicemail. "Serena, stop this tantrum. I bought you a gift. After the keynote, we'll start fresh, just you and me." I had already believed him countless times, but this time I would not turn back. So I left him a message. "Get lost." Then I blocked every way he could reach me. When Julian realized he couldn't get through it all, he started having my employees contact me. Predictably, none of them could reach my phone either. To head off any harassment, I'd already swapped out my handset and SIM card long before. Seeing that no one could find me, Julian began to panic. He knew that, with only the files I hadn't torched, they could never deliver the product keynote. So he sent people scouring every corner of Eastbrook, unaware I'd already changed my name. Even if they flipped the whole city upside down, they would never discover where I was. Useless. Every last one of you. I keep you on payroll, and you can't even locate one woman. Julian jabbed a finger at the lineup in front of him and paced, frantic. Blair walked over and tried to soothe him. "Mr. Sterling, a grown woman can't just vanish into thin air. Maybe she's deliberately throwing us off." Julian reined in his impatience, turned, and pulled Blair's head against his chest. "Blair, don't worry. I swear I'll put you in the VP seat." Blair gave a soft hum, and the two of them kissed. No one expected the kiss to keep catching fire. They stumbled all the way down to the underground garage and threw themselves into Blair's car, bodies urgent, the vehicle bouncing in rhythm. From the shadows, someone recorded every second on a phone. Minutes later, the clip landed on my screen, indisputable proof they'd cheated. I watched the full runtime and felt absolutely nothing. The headquarters was about to hold its big press briefing, yet the core proprietary deck had been reduced to ash by my hand. Unable to reach me, Julian shoved members of my department on stage to speak, but they didn't understand the material. The heart of the presentation was locked inside those files. Everything Blair had recited was merely my meticulously copied notes. She had no ability to explain the concepts herself. He tried to contact me like a madman, yet every call sank into silence. That night, I sent someone to hand him an encrypted flash drive with the message, "Your parting gift, every last corporate secret." Julian was surprised, but assumed I couldn't bear to let the company's hard work go to waste. Once the drive was in his grip, his confidence boomed, and he messaged me at once. "Serena, you just want a divorce, right? I'll email you the papers tomorrow." Laughing, he slipped an arm around Blair and bragged, "See? Serena's my doormat. I crook a finger, and she comes running." What he didn't know was that the drive held no data, only the highlight reel of him and Blair in action. Meanwhile, I was already belted into a night flight bound for Australia. On board, I watched the live stream with amused detachment. The product keynote began right on schedule, the live stream up and running. Julian held the flash drive, his face relaxed and cocky, certain he still controlled the script. I knew he only wanted me to finish the keynote so Sterling Industries could rocket sky high. But I'd vaccinated the presentation against that outcome. As the briefing rolled on, it finally reached Sterling Industries' segment. The stream's viewer count had surged past 100,000. Julian launched into the core content. Because every slide had been forged by my sleepless nights, the rollout looked flawless. Facing the cameras, he vowed to take the company's products global. Entrepreneurs in the hall were instantly fired up. One CEO shouted, "I'm in for a 20% equity stake to cement our partnership." "I'll go 50. Count me too. I'll become a wholly owned subsidiary. Seeing the momentum, Julian swaggered. Stick with me, and I'll rocket you straight to number 501 on the fortune list. Watching my life's work get hijacked left a bitter taste. Julian even credited every breakthrough to Blair. Without her beside me, none of this would exist. She's been my silent strength. Blair clung to his arm, drinking in the spotlight like champagne. At that moment, the comment overlay went berserk. A great man always has a virtuous woman behind him. I need a wife like that. Career on fire, marriage on fire, goals. I want to marry a man with that kind of drive. I stared at the screen, stunned that people could be that nauseating. My phone buzzed. Serena, when are you landing? I've set everything up in Australia. Bought you an entire office floor. I answered, then added, Dad, I don't want Sterling Industries to survive in this country any longer. I ended the call. The timing was perfect. On the giant screen, the slides dissolved into Julian and Blair's cheating video. Julian lunged to kill the projector, while Blair flushed scarlet from hairline to heels. The room erupted. Whispers turned to roars. Mr. Sterling's married, isn't he? Since when do you bed your PA? The comment overlay exploded as well. CEO cheats with secretary. Who'd trust a guy like that? Shameless. Adulterers should be erased. As outrage snowballed, shoes and water bottles arced toward the stage. Fighting for control, Julian stepped forward and declared, Serena and I have been divorced for ages. He even brandished the stamped divorce papers. By then, my plane had touched down in Australia. A welcoming committee surrounded me the moment I cleared customs, bowing respectfully. Their leader spoke first. Miss Vance, we're here to take you home under orders. I pressed my fingers to my temple. Why the fanfare? I'm not a toddler. The old man's afraid you'll change your mind, so we're to keep an eye on you, just in case you try to run back. I went back with them to the villa where my father was staying. The moment he saw me, he stood up to greet me. Serena, you've finally come around. If you'd stayed away any longer, these old bones of mine, Jamie, would have fallen apart. Looking at my father's salt and pepper hair, the way he limped as he walked, the corners of my eyes stung with tears. 3 years ago, Dad had wanted me to settle in Australia and quietly take over his businesses. But I hadn't wanted to be tied down then. I'd been determined to go back Eastbrook and build something of my own. Soon after, I met Julian. At the start, he helped me look for jobs. To thank him, I tapped the last of my contacts in Australia. I helped him climb, and once he reached the top, he tossed me aside. Dad had caught wind of it back then and told me the man was no good, but how could someone halfway across the world know what Julian was really like? It turned out the majority shareholder had stayed in touch with Dad the whole time, watching my back from the shadows. He'd learned that Julian was using equity stakes to line his own pockets and selling off company assets. I hadn't believed it then. Only now had Julian finally shown his true colors. I threw my arms around Dad, and the dam inside me broke. Dad, I'm never leaving again. I'll stay right here with you. He answered gently, Serena, this has always been your home. The next few days, I traveled all over Australia, trying to forget the unhappiness I'd left behind. Meanwhile, back at Chishing headquarters, Mr. Sterling, our market cap has dropped 30% because of the fallout from the product keynote. Most of our partners are demanding to pull their investment. If we don't act, we're heading for bankruptcy. Julian had been run ragged for days. With crisis PR going nowhere, he threw every resource he had into finding me. Turn the city upside down if you have to. Bring her back. Blair murmured at his side. Julian, I scratched my car yesterday. Could you? Julian's irritation flared across his face. Fine, I'll get it fixed tomorrow. She shook her head and slipped her arm through his. No, I want the new model. You can keep the old one after it's repaired. Julian spun around, incredulous, and shook her off. Blair, look at the state the company is in. Do you seriously think I can buy you a car right now? Blair pouted. But you still have equity stakes. That should cover it. Julian jabbed a finger at her. I thought you cared about the company. Turns out you only care about the payout. I don't have a single dollar to my name. Go ask whoever you want. He slammed the office door and stalked out of the building. As the scandal snowballed and the largest shareholder vanished, Qixing began its free fall. "Mr. Senior, I've already pulled my investment. Let Qixing rot." An elderly voice replied slowly, "Serena's suffered enough. If we don't teach them a lesson, we'll fail her again." Julian returned home, hoping to find some trace I'd left behind. My bedroom was stripped bare. Even the wedding photo on the nightstand lay shattered. He picked up the cracked frame and stared at the ruins, the place suddenly foreign to him. They had once stretched every dollar to trade a tiny apartment for a villa, a narrow yard for a tower. The memory hit him like a slap. He rushed to his own room and dug out a journal. Back when we first met, I'd told him my story. He had listened so intently he'd written it all down. He smacked his forehead. "Why didn't I think of this sooner?" Then he dialed. "Book me the next flight to Australia, Jamie." Blair shoved the door open, fury on her face. "Julian, what about me if you run off to Australia? I'll bring Serena back and return. Just wait here. You promised I'd be Mrs. Sterling once she was gone. Why chase her now?" Julian looked at her twisted expression and lost the will to argue. "Move. Don't push me." Certain he wouldn't touch her, Blair threw her arm across the doorway. Julian shoved her aside and climbed into the cab without a backward glance. Blair stumbled after him in tears, slipped, and crashed to the pavement. Alex Drive. At the airport, his phone rang. "Julian, I'm bleeding. Please come back and take me to the hospital." He gripped the phone, hesitated, then called emergency services and boarded the plane. Under his breath, he prayed, "Serena, please wait for me." "Blair, you've been on that horse all day. When are you getting off?" Since arriving in Australia, I hadn't felt this free in ages. Endless grassland stretched before me, wildlife flitting everywhere. My mood finally lifted. Whoa. I slid off Jamie and realized this was the life I'd truly wanted. For Julian, I'd bowed my head, always putting him first, groveling in the dust. Dad read my thoughts and came over. "Serena, stop overthinking. Ride wherever you like, clear your head." Only when I looked past him did I notice the car. The man stepping out was Julian. At the sight of him, no disappointment or sorrow crossed my face. Whatever he had become meant nothing to me. I didn't care why he had come. I was already free. I kept adjusting the saddlebag, never lifting my eyes. "Serena, I was wrong." Blinded for a moment. "I finally understand. You're what matters most. You took every drink for me at those banquets. You were the one backing me, asking for nothing. If you can forgive me, let's start over." A new home, a chubby baby boy, the three of us living a quiet life. Julian spoke to me with full-throated emotion, tears streaming from the corners of his eyes. But I'd watched this performance too many times to feel anything. I answered slowly. "Julian, whatever bond we had snapped long ago. Out of courtesy for the years we were married, I left you one storefront under the headquarters." He reached for my hand. I stepped aside and kept his fingers from brushing mine. Dad started to speak, but I stopped him. Whatever lay between Julian and me, we would finish it ourselves. If you came for me, don't bother. If you came for the company, the division I left you is the largest favor I will ever extend. I no longer have anything to do with any of you. Whether you live or die is no longer my concern." Julian tried again to keep me, but Dad ushered him out. To earn my forgiveness, he dropped on your knees outside the gate and stayed there a full day and night. Yet when I finally walked out, Julian was gone. Blair was kneeling in his place. The moment she saw me, she crawled forward and clutched my ankle. "Serena, where's Julian?" "He came to find you. I'm pregnant. I can't let my baby be born without a father. Please tell me where he is." I stared at the scene, baffled, and answered honestly. "I don't know." She didn't believe me. She snarled. "Impossible. He flew here yesterday. How could he vanish?" "You've hidden him to punish me." Watching her unravel, I felt only resignation. "Blair, you set this fire. If you'd drawn a line in the first place, you wouldn't end up ashes. You brought every bit of this on yourself." She burst into wild laughter, her mind slipping its hinges. "Ha! Yes, blame me. If I hadn't seduced him, none of this would have happened." Her voice rose, sanity cracking. Suddenly her eyes locked on me, sharp as shattered glass. "Serena, because of you I'll take your life." She whipped a small blade from her waist and drove it toward my chest. I jerked backward. The first thrust missed, but my heel skidded and I crashed to the ground. She lunged again. I knew I couldn't dodge, so I shut my eyes. Long seconds passed. No pain came. I opened my eyes to see Julian collapsed in front of me, the knife buried in his right chest. Blair recoiled, shocked that Julian had taken the blow meant for me. Trembling, she crouched beside him, wanting to pull the blade free yet afraid, staring at him in helpless panic. "Julian, I'm sorry. I never meant to stab you. Sorry. Julian's lips were bloodless. He spoke in a threat of voice. "Blair, the fault was mine. But if this spares Serena, I'll gladly carry the wound." Dad arrived then, stepped in front of me, checked me for injuries, and only relaxed when he found none. Julian turned his gaze on me and smiled, weight finally sliding from his shoulders. "Serena, I wronged you more times than I can count. One lifetime won't balance the books, but knowing you're safe is enough." His eyes fluttered shut and he passed out. We called the police, then the paramedics. Because Julian had been hurt saving me, Dad covered every medical bill while he was treated in Australia. Blair was charged with assault. Her trial was set for 3 months later. 4 months after that, I floated Aurora Holdings on the Sydney Exchange. Within half a year, its market cap exploded, making it the largest listing in the region. Julian lay in his hospital bed, staring at the ceiling with hollow eyes. When he saw me enter, hope flared. He tried to rise, but pain twisted his face. Without a word, I placed the wedding band I had long since removed on his bedside table. "Serena, will you ever forgive me?" Loss filled his voice as he searched my face. "From the night you took the drink for Blair, we became impossible. I won't settle for a marriage that's already cracked." Desolation swept across his features. Tears slipped unchecked. I turned and walked away. For the 2 months of his convalescence, I never visited again. Once healed, he left Australia without argument and went back to Eastbrook. He wrote letter after letter. I tossed each unread into the fire and watched them burn. His career nosedived. The hangers-on drifted away. Eventually, he sold the company, donated every cent of the proceeds, trying to buy peace for his conscience. Blair's indictment shocked her so badly that she miscarried. In the end, she lost the child. On a headquarters trip, I returned to Eastbrook. The tower that had been Sterling Industries now wore a stranger's logo, the lobby unrecognizable. I heard by chance that Julian had become director of an orphanage. He said he'd never had a son of his own, so he would give parentless children the love he'd missed giving. I smiled at the news, finally free. Before I left, I wired $1 million anonymously to the orphanage. May those children teach him to look past old wounds and toward whatever horizon is left. Thank you for listening. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this story? If it moved you, like and share, and drop your thoughts below. Subscribe for more. See you next time.